Morning, everybody. My name's Keenan. Welcome to the December 9th, 2021 weekly DXdao community call at 1600 UTC. Today we'll be discussing DXdao proposal taxonomy and swapper emissions. We also have some special guests from DAO Square speaking later on, and of course the Carat Alpha AMA featuring a shiny POAP you might have already seen in Discord or on Twitter. So let's not delay here. Let's kick it off with our recaps. We'll start with governance today, if that's okay, Chris, and we'll take that off.
Sure thing, Keenan. So in the last couple weeks of governance, there have been the staples of launching swapper campaigns, dealing with the buyback campaign ongoing, and there's also been several different kind of contributor governance discussions going on. So yesterday we talked about a new compensation or an update to the DXdao compensation guidelines. And so we were discussing that on yesterday's call. Let me find the, I'll share the link here so people can check it out for themselves. But yeah, so for those of you that don't know, the guidelines were approved in September of 2020. And so that's what kind of directs or kind of is the foundation for all the compensation to contributors from DXdao. And so this was an effort to revisit it, given that there's been a lot that has changed in the last 18 months. So you can see there some of the things we're doing. Big ups to Melanie and the contributor UX team who's kind of been discussing or putting this through. And do I not hear? Oh no, that's Moshan. Yeah, and so this was discussed yesterday, and I imagine it will go to an on-chain proposal, hopefully in the next week or two, sometime before the end of the year. But I think this is a nice effort. And then additionally, there's also been some discussion on the DXD vesting for contributors. There's a draft or a signal proposal for the GovDev team to be able to do like a large amount of vesting contracts, because it's pretty onerous for all of those vesting contracts to come through governance. So there's a draft proposal about those DXD vesting distributions. And so that was there. And then that's mostly it, I think, for governance stuff. We had a proposal taxonomy, but I think we'll talk about that in a second. I wasn't sure if Dave or anyone else had any governance updates or if there were any questions. I guess just two interesting proposals to highlight that may have overlooked. There was a signal proposal that passed to integrate Pocket Network into DXdao product RPC usage. So Pocket Network is a decentralized network for RPCs for dApps. So this is a great partnership that we've been working on for a while. And Sky submitted that proposal and it passed there, and I think it was 23%. Approval. And then there was also just a signal proposal that passed on DXdao and is soon to approve a 1,000 ETH staking as part of the Treasury diversification. And then there's a corresponding proposal on mainnet that will actually transfer 500 ETH to be used to acquire staking ETH at the three major ones: Rocket Pool, Lido, and can't remember off the top of my head the third one, but what is it? Yeah, so that's it. Any questions?
Stake-wise,
thank you. Knew it was something stakey.
I would just say that the unwrapping of DXdao from the Treasury is actually a very exciting proposal in my eyes, as it makes use of the generic multi-scheme. So a lot of the limitations we've been facing on mainnet, where the Treasury can't interact directly with protocols, etc. This is kind of actually a way around that, right? And I'm actually not sure if the DXdao will unwrap correctly. That's something we'll find out in a couple of hours. But if it does, it's actually quite exciting that we're able to do these generic multi-calls from the avatar address directly on DXdao, and very promising for the future as well. So that's quite cool from my side. Maybe not so exciting for other people, but I find it very exciting.
Yeah, Dave has a alarm set for this proposal to see if it goes through. It's simulated that it will, but yeah, it's exciting. Kind of shows the expanded capabilities of DXdao on chain.
Cool. Thank you, Chris, for the update, and Dave. In the tone of recaps here, Zet, are you around to give a swapper recap, or do we need that moved back slightly?
If you can move it back a little bit.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks.
Chris, let's hop right into taxonomy then.
Awesome. Let me share this post. Is this something I've been working on for a little bit, and it's really just to see what does DXdao governance spend its time on. I think there's a lot of different things that DXdao is doing on chain, but kind of looking at where our efforts are spent as a way to both streamline certain processes that we can do, but also kind of like organize our overall structure. So this is a proposal that looked at all of the proposals through DXdao on mainnet, XDAI, and Arbitrum 1 from DXDAO's launch in July 2019 up until November 25th. And in that time, there were 1,204 proposals that were passed. So that's just about 2 proposals a day. And you can see in the post, I created some categories and proposal types to help aggregate the information. So the 5 proposal categories are payments, treasury, signal, rep awards, and product and protocol updates. So all of the different proposals that we do at DXdao end up following in one of those 5 buckets. And so just to give a little brief background on what those categories include. So for payments, these are proposals like contributor proposals. This is what everyone, all the contributors get paid through their normal worker proposals. There's also reimbursements. There's member balancer, which is on-chain transactions that are done on behalf of DXdao, and people are reimbursed. We also have swapper farming proposals that we've been doing a lot the last couple weeks, and these are all in the payments category. Then, of course, there's signal proposals, which we do pretty frequently as a way to convey our intentions there. And then the next category is treasury. So Treasury includes a couple different things. So we had the Treasury diversification program running through most of this year, and that was converting some of the ETH or diversifying some of the ETH into stable coins. So we had a lot of proposals on that. We also have a lot of fund transfer proposals. So we're doing transfers to XDAI, to the Swapper Relay, or a lot of different things that are more kind of operational. And then, of course, there's the buyback proposals. These have been going on since May. And then we have Swapper LP proposals. So this is how DXdao can actually deposit and withdraw assets on Swapper. And then the next category is rep awards. So this is proposals that issue or / rep. And so the specific proposal types of those are the rep boost, which many of you people on this call have probably gotten through the Discord area. And then there's also rep syncs, which are proposals that are intended to align reputation across DXdao bases. And then the last category, which I think is probably the most interesting and exciting one long term, is what I called product and protocol updates. So this is what DXdao is doing to govern different elements of its products and protocols on chain, right? So the most prominent one, or the one I think DXdao does the best, is ENS proposals. So ENS proposals are ones that update the products or update the website, and that all happens on chain through proposals. There's also token list proposals. So these are to add tokens to DXdao's official token list. There have been a couple arbitrator proposals. So this is where if you need an arbitrator for Omen or now Carat, DXdao can actually be that arbitrator. There's things like swapper fee change proposals, right? Remember, swapper is unique than Uniswap forks because you can actually adjust the fees on each of the individual pools, and this has been used a couple times. And then there's also smart contracts that DXdao owns and controls, like the bonding curve. So there have been a couple of proposals around that. And then just kind of some highlights, I think, from the post here, looking at what are the most kind of common ways that DXdao spends its time. So obviously the most common one is contributor proposals. So this is, I think there are 317 contributor proposals over the last 2.5 years. And that was just about 25% of all proposals. There have been 88 ENS proposals. So these are 88 updates on change to DXdAO's products or its own website. And then in looking at the Treasury proposals by type, there have been 183 buyback proposals. This is because a lot of these split up into both the funding. Early on, we had a funding and a multi-call proposal, and this campaign has been going on mainnet and DXdao there. So there's a lot of other interesting kind of stats in the post there, and maybe something kind of people can look around and play around. You can download the data at the top. It should be all of the proposals. Big thanks to Ross and the DXGov team who allowed this data to be, because we had an easy export function there. Any questions or comments? Feel free to put them in the forum, and hopefully we'll be kind of referencing this in the future.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for the recap, Chris. I do have a couple of questions left with me that may or may not be directly relevant. But the first one for sure is relevant is, can we expect detailed information like this in DX Vote? Probably not. Something that you can answer. I'm not sure if Ross is here or not.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Welcome, Ross.
Oh, awesome. It's certainly something we can do. I mean, the thing that Chris asked for, like an export function, was sort of the minimal effort from our side. Like the UI has all the data there already, and so we just exported that to CSV. Only question is like development time, but it's maybe a good task for going forward into like governance 2.0, and as we onboard more members, it's potentially a good like for new joiner task we could look at. But certainly possible. The only thing is it might put Chris out of a job, so we need to think about that.
Cool. Yeah, thank you, Ross. And one other question, again, maybe not directly relevant, but it says, will top governance participants be rewarded in some way? I think, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, there is some kind of function like that in Governance 2.0, which is being implemented soon. I'm not sure if you wanted to talk a bit about that.
Yeah, I think there's kind of two. One is there is a very rudimentary ranking of the governance participants in DXVote now, and then there will be you mentioned in Governance 2.0, there's an initiative that we need to figure out how to reward governance and kind of incentivize that there too. So I think these types of overall like structure and templates that we can provide, like holistic views of governance, are what we need to be able to like implement governance incentives and other things in that regard.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I guess we're good here on the taxonomy topic. Zed, you wouldn't happen to be free now to give an update on Swapper?
Yeah, I am. Just give
Sweet.
me 10 seconds. I'll switch to my headphones here.
Excellent.
Hello. You guys hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Shit. All right.
I heard that too, Zed. But now you're muted.
All right, now it should work. So, yeah, we had some really exciting updates for Swapper. We integrated Carat recently on Swapper beta v8, 7.8, and and we also integrated the first MVP of the bridge that we will soon expand on. We're currently testing ERC20 token bridging 2, so that will soon be out. So the bridge is actually live as a super early beta, and that includes bridging between Arbitrum and mainnet to Arbitrum. It uses the native Arbitrum bridge, and that works out great. We'll be adding the DXdao Omni Bridge next. Because we use DXdao so much, I think this will be super useful for us internally at DXdao, and also we want to push people to use DXdao more, obviously, because our products are there, governance is there. So that'll be next, and we're preparing for that. So that is like the main big things for Swapper right now. Probably a lot of things I forgot about, but free to ask.
Yeah, I do have one question left with me, and it's when will the second single-sided staking vote start? Might be a better question for Venki. Not sure if he's here. I can try to give some context if he is not.
Good. I don't think he's here.
Yeah, I think he mentioned he'd be away for the beginning of the call. Basically, the Swapper single-sided vote went through. It was a pass, but it was very close. And the big thing to note is that LPs were locked out of the vote. It was only raw Swapper held on Arbitrum. So the community wants to do the vote again in a bit more fair terms, including LPs, of course. And we also would like to get some more information on those that voted down onto why exactly that decision was made and kind of create a dialogue. The only thing I'm not 100% sure on is the date for that. I'm going to quickly check the forum. The most recent post should hopefully have a bit of context on that. It looks like, if I'm correct, it would be December 9th being today. I do not have a time frame for the launch time quite yet, but as soon as I can confirm that, there'll be an announcement in the Swapper channels.
So the next proposal that we'll be doing will actually be a little bit shorter. We actually did 9 days on the first signal proposal. Next one will be a little bit shorter. We'll be announcing when it's up. Obviously, it will include staked LP Swapper. So we'll be including much more people to be able to vote with their Swapper. And yeah, hopefully we get not only voting, but some discussion. If people vote yes or no, like in some reasons, and that they can talk about it. So hopefully we can reach those people. We do have a pretty big whale voting no on that proposal, and looking at the on-chain data, he has even more Swapper tokens. And obviously we are very interested on hearing why this person voted no. So if you guys have any idea who this is or how we can get in contact with this person, that would be great. So, yeah.
Spicy Soup asks, Arbitrum only still or DXdao as well? I believe it would be just Arbitrum. Waiting for Venki to give a confirmation in the chat here.
On the signal proposal?
Yes, that's correct.
I think the goal is to get all the networks. There is schemes to get all the networks, but because we have done a custom scheme, I'm not sure. I won't promise all the networks. Yeah, Venki said just Arbitrum.
Yeah,
So,
and I believe that's just for this vote, hoping to expand that to all chains going forward,
yeah.
if that's correct.
Venki, do you want to go up on stage?
I think he said he's unable to talk right now.
Right.
Yeah, so looking into the next snapshot proposals to be all chains, hopefully. But this one specifically will be Arbitrum 1 launching today. I'll get a confirmation on the launch time and we'll make an announcement. So Swapper holders should be voting on that proposal for sure. Cool. Any final thoughts, Zet?
Not really. I'm excited for getting Swapper out of Swapper beta and getting the landing page up, and a lot of the updates we're doing right now is super exciting, and yeah, looking forward for it.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time. We'll transition this into the December 9th Swapper farming incentives. I'll give a very quick update on the changes. As you may or may not know, mainnet was launched in groups of 4 epochs. The fourth epoch just passed last week, or I suppose formally about 24 minutes ago. So launching into Epoch 5, we've bundled the 4 epochs again. So Epoch 5 through 8 on mainnet will be the same. I believe that takes us to mid-February area. So hopefully a bit of gas efficiency on mainnet. And gas is actually doing quite well. If you're not aware, I think around 40 to 50 gwei in the last week or two. So maybe something interesting to pay attention to. Also worth noting that we increased the allocation of Swapper token to the DXD pair on mainnet as well. Would like some mainnet DXD liquidity, of course. So something to look into if you have some DXD and or like mainnet. As for XDAI, we have the Swapper and DXD Carat campaigns. The very first campaigns are still running. You can earn those carats for the next week, and then you will not be able to earn them any further past the end of the next epoch. Sorry, epoch, not week. And then there'll be 1 week where no more additional carats will be earned, but the condition will be being updated in the Carat UI. So pay attention to that. I noticed some chatter in the channels about gamifying, trying to reach the conditions, which is great to see. So hopefully we see a bit more of that as the Swapper, as the Carat tokens are distributed through Swapper. We also added a curve pool on XDAI as well. This is a community discussion point surrounding curve emissions on XDAI, which have ramped up recently. So looking to have a tester pool now to see if we can start to capture some of that and ramping it up into a larger allocation. As for Arbitrum, I believe there aren't very many changes. The big thing to note, though, and this goes for all chains, particularly Arbitrum and XDAI, is that there'll be single epoch deployments for today, and then on the 23rd, which is the day before Christmas Eve, the next campaigns will be deployed in 2 epochs. So that will be the 23rd to, I believe, the 20th of January, if that's correct. Basically, this will be so both the communities not needing to actively manage their balances on Swapper throughout the holidays, and similarly for the deployment process for those of us at DXdao. So hopefully some nice longer campaigns, and the stronger pairs on Arbitrum are actually already deployed with 3 epochs worth of Swapper. So you'll see, I believe, Swapper against ETH, USDC against ETH, WBTC against ETH, DXD against ETH, Curve against ETH, and our Badger partnership pools, which is Badger against ETH and IBPTC against ETH. All of those pairs should now be deployed for 3 epochs. So those will be until late January as of now. So some more interesting, and obviously gas efficiency is great here as well. So another thing to look forward to on Arbitrum, which can be done as of about an hour and a half ago. We also slightly increased the unallocated fund on Arbitrum and expect to slightly increase it again next epoch. This is just because we've extended the epochs to 3, particularly for the holidays, and want to leave a bit of room to make any quick additions if needed. And the last quick call of attention is there was a bit of a deployment issue on XDAI this morning. So some of the proposals came in slightly late. You may or may not have noticed. I believe there's still 1 more pool that needs to be deployed. I haven't quite checked in on that yet. But as of the top of the hour, we should have all of our campaigns deployed on XDAI without any further worries. Cool. And I think that's all for me on the Swapper recap. I'm not sure if there's any questions. See Chris typing.
I was just going to say, I think the transaction is confirming or pending for that last pool, like literally right now. So
Perfect. Yeah. So hopefully that will be up very, very shortly. Maybe we can give a little status update when we're fully set, Chris. Excellent. Well, if there's no further questions, we'll move on to the next big topic. We have some special guests here today from DAO Square that want to give a little presentation and discussion here. I'd like to invite, I believe it's Will. Let me give you an invite out here. Pucks. Invited the wrong person here. My apologies. I'm not.
It's Benjamin, I believe, is raising his hand, but is there a certain max amount of people that can be on stage? Do you know, Keenan?
I do not believe so. I think we're inviting Will Pucks up here, not Benjamin. Benjamin, maybe if you are here, could give some quick context. Let's see.
Pucks is in the chat.
Should be invited now. Call is filling out. I must have skipped over. Yeah, you might have to manually re-request again. Sorry about that.
There we go.
Hello, everyone.
Hey there.
Hi. Yeah, it's very nice to meet you guys here. Well, so Benjamin is one of our developers in the DAO Square, and I'm so glad to meet you guys here and representing DAO Square as a kick of DAO Square, who is in charge of the product side. Yeah, and I'm very glad to share some insights from DAO Square about our product incubator.
Yeah, it'd be great to share some context about who you guys are, what you do, and then we can kind of roll into some open questions.
Okay. Basically, in short, DAO Square is kind of like a DAO community founded by Tiptoe in China, and we are currently staying as the most influential DAO community in China, and we are also expanding our influences to United States, North America, and Southeast Asia. Well, basically, we are kind of like how to say that a bunch of developers who is providing some utilities for the Web3, and also we gathered lots of individual and institutional investors together, so we can accelerate some cool projects all over the world, not only in China.
Yeah, super cool. And what Nathan mentioned in chat, the RICE, which is RICE token, the DAO Square governance token, against XDAI pair, Swapper and XDAI will be incentivized with some Swapper and RICE. It'll be a dual reward campaign, and that'll be launching at, I believe, the top of the hour. Maybe do you want to tell us a bit about the RICE token?
Yeah. Before introducing the RICE token, I think I should introduce a little bit more about the incubator, because the RICE token is mainly acting like a governance token and utility token in the incubator. Incubator is kind of like a general partner plus limited partner, a co-vesting DAO that leaves all the headaches like due diligence investigation, tokenomic researching, or project background researching, or something else that every other professional problems to lead them to those experienced and professional researchers. So as a limited partner, all you need to do is just simply deposit your funds into a common treasury, which is protected by a smart contract, and it can only be used on project investment after successfully GPDAO voting. Once the voting is passed, the funds in the treasury will be used on the project investment, of course. Then all investors, including GPs and limited partners, will gain the share cuts according to their investment proportion in the treasury. So regarding to that, RICE is the governance token for the incubator. Also works for DAO Square. So the name of Rise is originally from the famous story, like as I recall, is the rice grains and the chessboard. So we believe that by connecting every individual from the world, there should be exponential growth than ever before. So RISE is, well, RICE is also an abbreviation of Record of Incubator Contribution Evaluation. So it indicates your past efforts, such as investing in the DAO early, and introducing resources into the community or offering your talents, etc.
Excellent. And a comment here is
Mhm.
how does one become a member of the GP DAO?
So, it will require a GP DAO voting to accept new GPs aboard. So the initial GP DAO members usually are early stage investors of DAO Square who put their faith from the very beginning, which means that they have solid binding interests with the DAO. So we can guarantee every decision they make won't harm the investors' common interests.
Yeah, excellent. Let me just see here. I think we have another question that was left with me. How does DAO Square plan to become the Y Combinator in the era of Web3? I think you might have somewhat answered this, but maybe a bit more context.
Okay. So, for in the case of Y Combinator, it's pretty much like a. I believe I can use the term of DAO on Y Combinator. It's quite like pretty much like gathering the fund providers and the intelligent tanks together to make a quick decision according to the voting. So, you know, the most essential part of the funds is pretty much like your treasury should be secured by some method, and if someone is not satisfied with the decision in a DAO firm, kind of like for example that the GP DAO vote for some project that you don't like. We call that it's against your will. You can always rage quit. So, the smart contract of the Treasury will calculate every, every GP's and LP's share in the Treasury. So no GPs or DAO Square members can manipulate a single penny in the common Treasury. This Treasury can only be controlled by the DAO voting result. But if you are not satisfied with that, you can always rage quit. If you disagree with the decision made by the GP DAO, you will entirely withdraw your balance in the treasury by doing that. I think it's totally based on your free will, and we believe that's the essential spirit of Web3, which is that you can 100% control your assets.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pux. We have one more question here in the chat. What are some interesting projects you guys have incubated so far?
Okay. Currently, we are incubating article co-creation protocol, so to speak, and it integrates the firm, the structure of a firm, of a corporation firm, and it also support some individual creation in the same platform. But I believe we should release more further details about that project once the team is disclosing their project details.
Excellent. We have one last question here in the chat. It might be a bit loaded, so feel free to not answer if necessary. But Kentilin asks, would you be able to comment on how the DAO Square incubator works within the geographic bounds of the nation state of China?
Okay. Yeah, it's DAO firm is pretty much like how to say that, democracy or something like that, under the democracy, of course. But actually, the spirit of DAO doesn't against any government will. So yeah, we are freely developing this firm in China mainland, and of course how to say that, it fulfills the regularities in China. I believe, yeah. Sorry, but it's too much for me to saying that.
Yeah, thanks for trying to address it. I know it's a bit of a loaded topic for sure. Excellent. Well, I think we've been through most of the questions we have left with us. Open to any final questions here in the chat before we conclude, but just wondering if there's any final thoughts you wanted to share, Pux, before we move on here. So I'm not seeing any final questions. Just if you had any final comments or thoughts before we conclude, Puck.
Well, a little bit more to Cantilon. DAO Square is pretty much gathering the peoples all over the world. So we are not we might hold the position of the most influential DAO in China, but actually we are operating globally. So yeah, I think nothing is against any legacy Chinese nation state. Yeah. So I believe that will be all from my side. And it's very nice to meet you guys here, and thank you for listening.
Yeah, we actually just got one last question we can end with, if you're comfortable. It's from Mo Seng in the chat. What's the relationship between Bright ID and Whale DAO under the portals on your website? Is Whale DAO related to DAO Square?
Yeah, actually, we're sharing the same founder of Whale DAO.
Excellent. Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for your time, Pux. As a reminder, the Rice against XDAI pool will be dual rewarded with both Rice and Swapper tokens, I believe, at the top of the hour. I think I got a confirmation on that, so within 15 minutes. But yeah, thank you very much for your time. Exciting to see where this pool goes and where DAO Square goes.
Yeah, it's very nice to meet you guys, and I hope you have a great day. See you guys.
Yeah, you as well. Take care, Pux.
Take care.
Excellent. That leads us to our final event of the day, the Carat first AMA for the Alpha, which we will be starting now. I'd like to invite, we already have Sky and John on stage, but I'd also like to invite Venki and Federico, if he is here, to pop on in. It'd be great to, since we have some fresh faces here, maybe Sky, give a quick introduction to what Carat is. I know we've done it quite a bit, but a bit of a larger call today, before we kind of move into the open questions.
I just wanted to mention, I think Venki and Federico are both caught up with either personal issues or they have too much noise around them at the moment. But I think Sky and I can handle it.
Yeah, excellent. Maybe do you two want to give a quick introduction to yourselves as well after the Carat intro?
Sure.
So just we've talked about this a few times in the community calls, but Carat is a platform that DXdao launched a few weeks back now, and it is a platform to manage community-driven programmable incentives. And so the idea is to solve some of the problems that happen in liquidity mining across the DeFi space. And so if we call like the old version of liquidity mining where just tokens are given out for to different pools and things, whether the pools and the goals of those pools are successful is kind of like the initial kind of quote unquote dumb version of liquidity mining. And so one way to DXdao in general has a lot of experience with like conditional tokens and mainly gets that from the Omen prediction market platforms. And so a long time ago, we thought about bringing these ideas into the DeFi space. And now you start to hear about farming 2.0 and DeFi 2.0. And these are like the new ways to do liquidity mining and incentivization throughout the space. And so what Carat is a very simple and easy platform to basically create tokens called Carat tokens, which have conditions built into those tokens. And so anyone, like a project, for example, can take a certain amount of collateral of any ERC20 token, and that may be a token that they're giving out as a reward in some pools or something. And you basically lock up that collateral into the Carat system. And what is minted is Carat tokens, and you assign an exact condition that can be settled for those tokens. And currently the condition can either be a binary condition where it either happens or it doesn't happen, or it can be a scalar condition, which is there's a range and the outcome can be anywhere along that range. And once you have these Carat tokens, the project has the ability to give these tokens out, and you can give them out through farming rewards. You could airdrop them to members of certain communities or your community. You could vampire or Dracula attack different communities by getting those tokens in the hands of people that you want to pay attention, or you theoretically could sell these tokens as well. And so once these tokens are earned, the people that hold these tokens now have an incentive to basically make the condition succeed. And so in order to get the full collateral payout, which is what the collateral that's locked up in the Carat system, you want that condition to happen. And so if it's binary, and like, for example, the example that DXdao has used for some of our initial campaigns is if swapper token price is above 20 cents during the average of the month of December, that condition will pay out. And so basically it's a way to allow the crowd and the community to have like a shared incentive in an ecosystem and try to achieve that. And so and the whole platform is basically the way these Carat tokens settle is that reality.eth, which is a decentralized oracle, has the condition for each Carat token, and at the end of the period, it uses that decentralized oracle mechanism to settle the actual condition, and then that will determine the payout. And then anyone that has Carat tokens can come to the Carat platform, turn in their Carat tokens, and redeem them for the underlying collateral. And so we think of it as a very simple and easy kind of building block for the DeFi space. It has some similarity to some KPI tokens that you've seen out there. It's been built to be easier to use. These are ERC20 tokens, and you could start to see kind of secondary markets and all sorts of different use cases form around this technology. And already, since we've just launched in alpha, Carat Alpha so far, we've gotten interest from a handful of different projects with all different kinds of use cases, from liquidity mining to incentivizing workers to incentivizing educational plans to a whole assortment of things. So you can use your mind to come up with so many different things you could use the Carat infrastructure for. And so though it currently is in a bit of a closed alpha, the plan is for it to kind of become more open and permissionless. And if you kind of think of do-it-yourself farming that's on Swapper, where anyone can come and create their own farms, the idea is that hopefully Carat gets becomes more like that over time. But in the meantime, if you have any ideas or have interest in Carat, feel free to reach out in DXDAO's communication channels, and we can get something going. So excited to have to use it with the DAO Square community, and actually the Agave protocol that's running on XDAI also is starting to use Carat. And so currently Carat is deployed and running mainly on XDAI chain, but we have the ability to leverage that Carat infrastructure across different ecosystems and other chains as well. And that can even be creating the conditions and the tokens on XDAI and bridging those over to wherever you want. But from a user experience, like people that receive Carat tokens, there's a big benefit to being able to redeem and manage them on XDAI, where it's super fast and cheap. So that's kind of a summary of Carat. John, if you want to add anything, and then if we have some other questions, happy to answer those.
Yeah, I think just before we get started, just because we're almost at the top of the hour, I'm actually going to open up the POAP right away. We're going to try out a different way of distributing here. Let's see. We don't want it written anywhere, but I will give the code now. You'll have to message the @POAP bot directly. I've added the @ in the channel. You want to message that bot directly the code "We like the carrots," and that's capitals for each of the letters. It's "We like the carrots." I'll give a reminder here as we go throughout the call, but you'll have until, I believe, 17:15 UTC to claim that code. So if you want to use it, that would be the time to do so. But
What
we'll
do you
give a
mean,
couple
Keenan,
reminders.
by the capitalization?
Yeah, so capital "We," capital "Like," capital "The," and capital "Carrots." So
Just the first letter of the
WLT.
words.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
So giving a quick heads up for that, there will be, I believe, as of now, 25 minutes to claim that POAP, giving a little time over the call. But without further...
there is a chance that POAP has been having some problems with, I think, some of the servers and things, and there's a chance that some of these codes and links might not be working, like mine didn't work. But if that's the case, like, hold on to that and try it maybe later. Otherwise, we'll figure it out afterwards.
Yeah, and if anyone has any troubles claiming, feel free to reach out in this channel or to me. Highly prefer you do so before the end of the claim window, or I can't guarantee you a POAP. Cool. So maybe a very quick introduction, just a one-liner from the panelists. It'll be myself, John, and Sky. Sky, you've done a bit of an intro, but maybe just a bit on yourself as well. I'll start. I'm Keenan, obviously from DXdao. Lots of community management, community focus stuff on my end. Maybe a quick intro from you, John and Sky.
I guess I can go. I'm John Kelleher. I've been working with DXdao for a couple of years now, full time. I help coordinate the dev efforts from security to architecture and that kind of thing between the different teams, and very excited about Carat. I thought Sky did a great job describing it, and looking forward to the AMA.
And I'm Sky. I mainly focus on DXBiz opportunities and also a few different hands in the other squads as well. But yeah, I have been excited for Carat for a while now. Happy to see it live.
Yeah, thanks for the quick intro. I do have a handful of questions left with me, but we do also have some in the chat. As always with these AMAs, feel free to reach out. Anything in the chat will be answered. Anything that, or anyone that would like to step on stage and ask questions directly, also feel free to do so. Just raise your hand and or shoot a quick ping in the chat. But we'll get started here. I think we have one, I think Nathan might have answered, but have you thought of using an Oracle type conditional token like the ones UMA makes? Just for program, it'd be good to answer that on the call as well.
So if I understand, so I'm not an expert on UMA, but I'm familiar with it. If I understand this question though, like I think the answer is Carat does something very similar. You could use Carat instead of UMA. Carat does have the ability to create KPI conditional tokens. That's sort of the point of Carat. So yeah, I don't know if Sky, if you had any thoughts on that or.
Yeah, one of the big differences is, from my perspective, is simplicity. There have been and there are projects using, UMA KPI tokens. It seems to take a lot of setup. You have to leverage the entire UMA kind of Oracle system, which is like the entire UMA hold base for an optimistic Oracle to settle these things. And believe it's mainly and only on mainnet, so it's like super expensive. And yeah, like so if you use that, you usually have like one very specific thing. You do it for a long time, and you do it in like a really big amount of money, right? It's almost like it's a very big investment. The idea with Carat is, just like do-it-yourself farming on Swapper, it should become a platform that anyone can come to. Anyone can create like easy, fun, little or big conditional tokens, lock up collateral, create the condition. It runs on XDAI. It's cheap and fast. It uses reality.eth as the oracle, which is a provable oracle that has settled many different Omen markets in the conditional token framework. It also has worked out for contentious conditions like in Omen markets as well, and that have then moved to an oracle. So if the stake of reality.eth, which is like kind of a back and forth oracle with higher and higher stake, if that gets high enough, you can call an arbitrator to settle the condition. And so having that built in, it's like a more open and permissionless kind of system. And so can be used in very similar scenarios to UMA KPI tokens, but in my mind, it's like everyone on this call, if you were going to use one of them, I'm pretty sure that everyone here would be a lot more comfortable using Carat than that more complex system. So that's kind of some of the differences I see.
And we're in the same kind of serving the same market, I'd say, Carat and UMA. But riffing on what Sky is kind of pointing to here, I think UMA is more focused on being a protocol where KPI tokens is just one of their use cases, and it's not very well integrated from what I understand. Though to be honest, I haven't actually tried to set up a UMA KPI token yet. But yeah, I think the process is somewhat involved and not very well integrated. And I think DXdao is focused on building an end-to-end solution with Carat, where it's going to be nice, tightly integrated, and the use case for this product is very focused on these. KPI tokens is like one way to look at it, but I like to describe them as either conditional tokens or programmable incentives. So yeah, I think just more elegant, more focused, and hopefully much more usable.
Yeah, thank you guys. One question here left by both Mosang and actually 3 times with me personally is, will Carat have its own token? Actually, it's maybe something I can answer. I think that DXdao has clearly signaled with Swapper that it's interested in product tokens. But I would personally suspect that if Carat were to have a token, it would not be till it is out of alpha, at least a little bit further along. I'm not sure if there's any additional context to add to that.
Yeah, there hasn't been any discussion that I'm aware of actually like making any plans for the native Carat token. I do think, the Swapper token sort of the precedent here that probably all DXdao products will end up having their own token at some point, but I'd say it's still early days. The focus right now for at least the contributors working on it are to focus on figuring out the product, get adoption, iterate on it, see what the market wants from it.
Yeah, and I would add that Carat does have its own tokens. You can get Carat tokens. It's just a different type of token than you might be used to. But anyone will eventually be able to go and create their own Carat tokens. And so, yeah, I know that's kind of a joke, but it's not the native governance token of Carat. But yeah, anyone can hold and create Carat tokens in the future.
Yeah, I sort of suspect there may end up being some confusion on this because we like to talk about Carat tokens, and those are the ones that are produced by the platform, right, as the actual incentive tokens. And there is no Carat token like a governance token or such yet.
Yeah, thanks for the extra context, guys. Just a quick call of attention here with 15 minutes left to claim. The Carat AMA POAP code is "We like the carrots," and there's capitals on each of the words. So capital "we," capital "like," capital "the," and capital "carrots." That is the code. We'll give one more call of attention here with 5 minutes left to claim. I just want to give another warning here as we roll out. Cool. Another question I have left with me is, can you share any of the mentioned Carat partnerships or not yet? Maybe John, if you want to quickly chat about an exciting development that we should be announcing soon.
Right. Do we want to name? I mean, I don't think it's a big secret, but should we talk about the project specifically that's about to launch? Or I think you've been coordinating the comms on that, so I don't want to front run anything here.
Personally, I think it's great to name it now. I think we should be expecting that announcement within an hour or two of this call.
Yeah, it's no secret. All you have to do is actually go to Carat's site right now, and you can see, and the incentive is live. The other project that we've been kind of excited to be the first partner on Carat is Agave, which is the lending platform native to XDAI. And, they were one of the earliest projects to actually talk to us about this idea and express interest. So it's been a pleasure kind of working alongside them to launch this, one of the first campaigns. The first one was Swapper, but this is the first partner campaign. So really excited to see this going. And the campaign is incentivizing total value locked on the Agave platform. And so right now, if you deposit collateral into Agave, part of what you are earning is actually, or what you actually earning as the incentive reward is in the form of Carat tokens. I think they are planning to update the UI so that it's very clear that these are Carat tokens. I think right now it's just showing the actual underlying collateral. The ultimate collateral that you would earn it's actually a pool token that's a 60-40 pool of Agave and stake using Symmetric. So they have the Symmetric pool token, which is Symmetric's a balancer fork on XDAI. That's the reward token they deposited into the Carat platform. They minted the Carats, and now the Carats are being distributed through the Agave platform itself, and you can see it on the Agave interface to those who are staking. And it's a range, a scalar range. So the amount of reward that you can claim at the end will depend on where in the range the TVL ends up being on average for the last week of December. So I believe the range is $3 to $12 million of TVL. And so just to illustrate, if it's below 3 million on average for the last week, no rewards would be paid out, and Agave would simply reclaim all of those rewards. If it's above 12 million, all of the rewards are claimable. So all those people who had been depositing in the Agave platform will get the full amount. Agave gets nothing back. If it's anything in between there, it's on this linear scale, right? So if it's directly in the middle at like 7.5, then you get 50%, so on and so forth.
Yeah, excellent. A couple questions here in the chat. What is the long-term play for Carat, and is there a roadmap? And also, Ethan asks, what would a successful Carat launch look like? Probably goes hand in hand there.
Yeah, so roadmap, we haven't published anything yet. I think Sky mentioned this. I think one of the natural things to happen on the roadmap next would be to enable people to launch their own campaigns through the UI. This hasn't been implemented yet because, like I mentioned, we're trying to figure out what the market wants and iterate quickly. So the UI only supports campaigns that have been added to it manually. And the reason this it takes a little bit of effort to do is because the UI is actually showing the data that is going to be relevant in answering the Oracle question or the condition itself, right? So the UI is showing TVL and the TVL incentives or price and the price incentives, and that uses the subgraph, right? And if we wanted to make it so that anybody could create any campaign, we need to figure out how the data is being handled. So yeah, better ways to do that. I think other things that are being looked at are faster, easier ways to automate resolution of the Oracle, different types of Oracles that could be plugged in, maybe supporting different arbitrators. And then Keenan, maybe Sky wants to add on to that, but Keenan, what was the second question?
Yeah, second question was, what would a successful Carat launch look like?
Yeah, I think hopefully the projects that are using them, Swapper and Agave, will be happy with the results, right? And I think it would be cool to see those goals actually influence the underlying TVL or price, right? I think ultimately for this first set of campaigns, it would be great just if they work end to end, and that's why it's just an alpha, right? We want to make sure we can execute these appropriately and without having any issues. But yeah, it would be really great to start seeing these goals actually have an impact on the platforms, right? If we see that TVL and Agave rising on the last couple weeks of December because people are going after the Carat incentives.
Yeah, and there's a lot of moving parts in these programs, which are, one of the pieces of it is the tool that is Carat. But if you put $10 into Carats and then you try to incentivize a crowd, they might not do anything, right? So there's a balance. There's different inputs that need to be considered, and it's a tool that communities and people need to learn how to use and how to use it effectively. And so already we're seeing with one of the DXdao campaigns is that pays out based on swapper token price. It does not seem to be moving crowds to make the condition happen, and there's a number of factors around that, but it can come down to financial incentive and amounts of money and things like that are going to drive, and targeted APYs and all that kind of things that can still drive people's behavior. And so the more examples and use cases that we get under our belt with different projects and different types of conditions and different amounts of collateral in those conditions, I think people will start to perfect the science or art behind using the tool that is Carat. So it's not as simple as just creating Carats. The conditions have to be properly thought out, and the amounts of collateral need to be properly thought out as well.
Yeah, there's this swapper price campaign where the goal is to have it at 20 cents, and I think right now it's hovering around 11 cents, and we're already 9 days into the month, so I'm looking unlikely that goal would be met. So I think, yeah, people might start to think about drawing lessons from that, right? I'd start to think, well, maybe binary campaigns are not great for incentivizing something like this. Maybe it's better to give a range so that people feel like it's achievable. And similarly, maybe the goal was set a little too high given the current price, right? Maybe it should have been something a little more in striking distance. But yeah, I think these are the things that people will have to start thinking about when using Carat.
actually leads into a question I had left with me, and it's, will swapper LPs on XDAI have some kind of compensation for the alpha Carat campaigns if not met, since it's a test? I'm not sure if we've actually discussed that or not, but maybe something interesting to run over quick.
Yeah, that's a good question. I hadn't considered that, but yeah, I guess there is a certain emissions plan, and the test was taken out of that emissions plan, so maybe it would make sense to do something to address that. I don't know. Probably needs more discussion.
Yeah, likely something that could hit the forum. There also has been discussion, nothing concrete, of course, of an NFT and/or POAP specifically for those alpha testers on XDAI. So there's that as well to potentially look forward to, but nothing to confirm yet. Just one quick final call here with 5 minutes left to claim the POAP. POAP code is "we like the carrots" with capitals for each of the letters, each of the first letters of the words, mind you. If anyone here has yet to claim the POAP or is having difficulty claiming, saying you've entered the wrong code, please leave a message in the chat. I will DM you the correct code, but I will not be putting it in the chat, so we don't have any siphoning of the codes. But yeah, final call here. There's 5 minutes left to claim that POAP before it's locked forever. Cool. I have a couple more questions, but there is one in the chat actually. Tom FR asks, are you looking for protocols to use Carat or more ordinary people?
I'd say primarily protocols at the current time, but I think both ultimately.
Yeah, I think the framework that's laid out in its current state, obviously usable by anyone, but as we're kind of bootstrapping, it makes sense to push towards kind of partnerships and getting protocols to achieve goals. But I think the overarching use case of Carat is a bit wider than that. And just to relay a question that was left in the chat, asking, it was Ethan from Citadel, what are the fees for using Carat? Just to relay what Sky left in the chat for anyone listening at home. There is no fees currently for Carat. It's been an active topic of discussion in the community. But longer term, there is discussion of adding a small fee that would be paid, obviously, in the underlying collateral token directly to the DXdao Treasury. So it's something interesting to think about, but nothing set in stone right now. It'll be a zero fee.
Yeah, the smart contracts support having a fee. It's currently set to 0, though.
Excellent. I have another one here left with me. Let's see, is Carat replacing Omen, or will they work together in some way?
Yeah, Carat is not at all replacing Omen. It's actually like the leveraging what some of the technology used and kind of understood by DXdao on Omen, right, with the reality.eth as the oracle. So it's leveraging a lot of what was done and learned in Omen, but I view it as a totally different platform, so similar in some ways.
To Spicy Soup's question, he says, seems like part of the challenge for protocols using carrots to incentivize liquidity is how to clearly communicate APY in a way that it still attracts LPs. Any ideas here? That is something that is confusing, because lots of different types of collateral can be locked up in Carat, and that can be individual tokens which have a price. Those can be LP tokens, which could represent more than one token. That could be, other types of ERC20 tokens. The key is discovery of the actual, dollar value price of whatever underlying token that is. So if that's clear and can be gathered, then you can feed that information into a campaign. But as you would know, and other, I think Badger was doing this, like APYs start to look like ranges, right? Where if there's a pool that's giving out swapper token plus Carat token, you can have like the known APY from swapper token at current prices, and then the Carat token could pay out in a range, and so the overall APY, current APY, expected APY for a certain pool could be a range where there's at least a minimum, and then if the condition was achieved, you could have a maximum too. And so you might show a range rather than just one APY. And so Badger, and I've seen a bunch of different pools that do ranges instead of one single APY. But it's not super easy, but as long as you have the underlying prices, it can be done. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. One quick call. There's currently the POAP code is now expired as of now. So anyone that was here prior to this time that has messaged me will get one if they're unable to right now, trying to figure out an issue potentially with claiming. Anyone here, last chance, leave me a message or leave a message in the chat if you're having difficulty claiming the POAP, but only will be considered for the next minute or two. Cool. I have a couple more questions here. We're a bit over time, so we can probably let it time out after. Let's see here. I have one for Federico. I'm not sure. I don't think he's here in the chat to answer. Is that correct? Yeah.
I don't think Federico's here, but I can do my best if it's not a personal Federico question.
It's a bit of a personal one. It's asking what was the greatest challenge when developing Carat. Maybe we could tackle that from a non-developmental standpoint. Like the process of creating Carat to where it is today.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. I think like the biggest challenge that comes to mind, and this is kind of has been an issue so far, but I think might even be a kind of bigger one, is how to present the data, right? Like if we want a truly open platform, ask any question, kind of like you can ask any question in Omen, and that's like one of the beauties of the Reality.eth Oracle platform. And I think you may be looking at a lot of different types of data, and displaying that in a front end, I think, is going to be a challenge. I mean, maybe one easy solution to that from the platform perspective is to simply not display the data, right? But if we want a kind of a richer, more user-friendly platform, I think that data is really nice. So I think that has been a little bit of a challenge with the subgraph, but might be more of a challenge going forward as well.
Excellent. I have two final quick questions to kind of end us off here as we're a bit over time. First one, I actually think these might have been answered to some capacity by Sky in the intro. But what chains will Carat deploy on? Maybe just a quick answer to that.
It's on XDAI now. I think where it goes will be determined by either like demand that is seen kind of on the business development front. Like if there's interest from certain projects and certain chains, that might drive DXdao to deploy on a particular chain. And then, of course, like DXdao is on XDAI mainnet and Arbitrum. So I think those are the natural places that it could and would go. If we're talking beyond that, it also would include the additional overhead of deploying DXdao governance and the like on another chain. So that's always a consideration as well. So I would say Arbitrum is probably the most natural next spot, or mainnet, and it kind of depends like where there's interest.
Yeah, and like John said, governance is a big aspect of this and where we're actually able to deploy. I think that kind of Swapper wants to deploy to as many chains as feasible. So I'd expect wherever Swapper is currently deployed or will be deployed is a good possibility for Carat deployment in the future.
Yeah, just to add, the big difference between Carat and Swapper is if you want to use Swapper on a chain, you need to have Swapper deployed on that chain, right? And so in this scenario, we can use Carat tokens on mainnet. So a protocol that exists only on mainnet that wants to incentivize something can still use Carat, even though Carat is only deployed on XDAI. We can just bring over collateral, create Carat tokens, and then we can give out those Carat tokens on XDAI to the same wallets, which is still a good experience for the users. or you can bridge the Carat tokens over to mainnet and distribute them there if you choose. But then the users who garner the Carats would have to come back to XDAI to redeem the Carat tokens. So it's still a possibility to use Carat tokens on any chain that we choose, even though the machine that's creating and allowing redeems and creations and stuff is running on XDAI. So it's super powerful. So it's not dependent on being deployed on different chains like Swapper would be.
Yeah, that's a great point. Basically, anything tied into the Ethereum ecosystem could get its hands on Carat tokens and use them.
Tom, just quickly before the last question left with me, asked, Carat could be an app into Gnosis Safe for more integrations. I believe, yes, that's a possibility, as Sky had mentioned. I don't know if you want to give any quick context to that.
Yeah, I think there's some. Go ahead, Sky. Sorry.
No, you go.
Yeah, there's some. You have to develop these apps for the Gnosis Safe kind of app store, if that's what I'm not sure if that's what they call it, but the app section of the Gnosis Safe. And I could imagine having a Carat app which helps projects create their Carat tokens. Right, that would be pretty cool because I think a lot of project treasuries are managed in Gnosis Safes, and that could give some great access, I think, for projects to be able to utilize Carat.
Excellent. And related to this, actually, the last question I have left with me we'll end with is, when can we expect more Carat campaigns in Swapper?
Sky, do you want to take that, or I can give it a shot?
Very soon. I mean, well, in an hour when a new one launches, and then
I think if you're referring to the Rice campaigns, they will not be Carats in this epoch.
Okay. Yeah. Once we have, you keep an eye out for a few more and more rolling out over the next epoch or so. I think and they may be smaller trial ones and experimentations from different projects and things, but definitely in the next couple weeks, probably like through into December.
Yeah, I view the current campaigns as sort of a trial run, and I would expect that if it goes well, things will ramp up. Hopefully not just on Swapper, but on other partner platforms as well.
Do you think, Sky, I'll leave this up to you, do you think it's worth mentioning the stake proposal that passed regarding Swapper, maybe? Or is now not the time?
Yeah. So there was a proposal from the DXdao community, Swapper community, to the XDAI stake community to request from their ecosystem fund stake rewards to be used on Swapper XDAI in order to incentivize more and more capital coming to XDAI and into Swapper on XDAI. And as part of those discussions, the proposal, the snapshot vote passed. There will be a stake rewards will be moved to DXdao in order to start using stake as part of rewards in Swapper, and those can be dual rewards with Swapper token, but those can also be leveraging Carat as a product. So there will most likely be a handful of pools which use Carat tokens where the collateral is actually stake token rewards behind the Carat token. And so keep an eye out for various pools that include those stake-backed Carat tokens. And then really interesting, related similar to what Agave has been doing, but there's also the ability to put something like 2 different reward tokens into a pool together, say on Swapper, take those LP tokens and use those LP tokens as the collateral that you put into Carat. And then so you're effectively allowing multi-reward Carat tokens to be given out through farms as well. And so think about, you can start taking this to layers and layers and layers, and really interesting, and there's lots of different new use cases I think people will come up with. So excited for people to experiment and come up with new ideas.
And I think this is a great use case for Carat because Swapper is very fortunate to have this grant from the DXdao Ecosystem Fund, but it's a new reward token. It's a sizable amount, and it's unclear how the campaigns will do. And by using Carat, you can hit the ground running with a bunch of campaigns, but have kind of assurances that these stake tokens aren't going to be given out without getting the goals achieved, right? And I think that's great to be able to move quickly while still being responsible towards your the partner here, which is the DXdao Ecosystem Fund that's helping sponsor this.
Perfect. Yeah, well, that is it for me and the questions left with me. Giving a quick window for any final questions in the chat before we wrap up a bit over time. Apologies again about that. Any final comments, John and or Sky, to wrap us up?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead, Sky.
No, I don't have any.
Oh, I thought I saw the voice thing, Pulse. But yeah, I would say that I think at the very heart of crypto, maybe the most important building block of crypto is incentives, right? If we look at everything from Bitcoin launching with proof of work all the way up to yield farming and the things people are trying to do now to improve on yield farming, it's all about incentives, right? And so I see Carat as a more refined incentive platform, like Incentive 2.0, if you want to call it that. And I think there are just like the sky is the limit in terms of the types of use cases. And I think it's a super powerful building block for DXdao and for the space. So I couldn't be more excited about seeing what we can do with this product.
Yeah, thank you so much to our panelists, Sky and John, obviously myself as well. Really appreciate everyone being here. Anyone that didn't catch the code or was having problems with claiming the code, provided you left a message with me or in the chat before 9:15 PST, will be taken care of. I'll be creating a list shortly after this call in this channel. If you're missed and can provide proof that you were here before then I will be able to add you to that list. But yeah, that concludes our DXdao weekly community call. Thank you everyone for attending, and we'll see you next week for another one. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Keenan. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Yes.